Hello and welcome to the latest edition in our Sustainability Perspectives podcast series, where we talk to packaging experts to find out more about how their company tackles the sustainability challenges the industry faces. My name is Elisabeth Skura, and today I'm very pleased to welcome Sylvia di Felice, who is Head of Product Management and Marketing at Monta, to the podcast. Monta is a Germany-based producer of adhesive tapes for packaging and industrial applications, specializing in tapes with a natural rubber adhesive. Today, we are going to delve into the topic of e-commerce, discussing market conditions, challenges, the opportunities that come from choosing the right adhesive tapes, reducing CO2 emissions, recyclability, and much more. So welcome, Sylvia. It's great to have you on the podcast today.
Thank you, Elizabeth, and thanks for having me.
I wanted to start the podcast by asking you, what are the biggest sustainability challenges around packaging that the e-commerce sector faces currently?
Well, to start with the big picture, looking at last year, approximately 160 billion parcels were shipped globally, and the number keeps growing. So this means a lot of packaging material is being used that at some point turns into waste and needs to be disposed of. So in this context, the volume and recyclability of these materials is important. Another aspect is that if the packaging material is not well suited for the designated transportation route or the size and weight of the packaged goods, it may not withstand the stresses of transportation, meaning that the goods could arrive damaged at their destination. So you might be faced with customer complaints, which just create frustration and cost.
Absolutely, yes. And leading on from that, how can adhesive tapes help tackle these challenges?
Well, obviously, the whole packaging concept with all its components needs to be considered to make sure that it matches the task. However, a small yet vital part that is often overlooked is the adhesive tape that keeps the carton closed. And we often see that far too much tape is used, especially when the tape is not well suited for the application. This might be because the user had bad experience in the past, which led them to believe that using a lot of tape will fix the problem. Or they simply may not know that with the right adhesive tape, only one single layer is necessary to achieve a reliable bond with the carton. So to stop wasting tape, which is also not very sustainable, it is best to select a tape that is fit for the task.
That makes perfect sense. And I wanted to zoom in on that and ask you, how can companies make sure to choose the right tape for their application, and what factors are there to consider, and what are the available options?
Well, this is a very important question, and there is actually a lot of factors that should be considered. I think the most important one is matching the tape to the carton quality. Today, many cartons have a high recycled content. This is great in itself, but it means that the carton surface is very smooth, which can be challenging for some adhesive tapes. Other aspects to consider include the carton weight and size, the restoring forces. This is when the carton flaps want to reopen, so the tape has to keep them closed. What stresses the parcel will be exposed to, such as hot and cold temperatures, moisture, vibration, UV exposure, and so on. And also what you should consider is how you want to apply the tape. Do you do it manually with a hand dispenser, or do you use an automated case sealer packaging line? Now, available options, there are many different packaging tapes globally on the market, and they all consist of a combination of pre-adhesive technologies and several backing materials. Now, to start with the adhesive technologies, there are three, which is water-based acrylic, hot melt adhesive, and natural rubber adhesive. And all of these obviously come with pros and cons. Starting with the acrylic adhesives, they are very affordable, and they are great for rather lightweight boxes and less demanding applications. Acrylic tapes are also UV resistant, and they look very transparent. You could almost say crystal clear, which some customers prefer. The next one is hot melt adhesives or adhesive tapes, which are very popular for machine applications as they unwind easily. Now, they are rather noisy when you unwind them, but they have a very high adhesive strength on steel values. So when you unroll them a little bit and put your thumb on it, they really stick to your fingers. Now, these both adhesive technologies, hot melt and acrylic, have in common that they just wet the carton surface. So coming back to those difficult to bond smooth carton qualities that I mentioned earlier, they may not be the perfect choice. And this is where natural rubber is your best bet. Natural rubber adhesive has somewhat unique flowing properties, so which allows it to penetrate deep into the cardboard fiber, where it forms a strong, reliable bond with the carton, even with those challenging smooth surfaces. And once applied, it even withstands high temperatures, for example, when transported on a truck in summer, and can, on the contrary, also be used for storing and shipping at sub-zero temperatures. So you can pack frozen goods or pharmaceuticals with it. So to summarize it, natural rubber adhesive is a very versatile and reliable technology, and is a true all-rounder. Now coming to the backing materials. So the most widely used one globally is BOPP, which is a polypropylene film. In most cases, it's sold with acrylic adhesive, which is great for lighter boxes, as I mentioned, and also with hot melt adhesive for these machine applications. Now with natural rubber adhesive, BOPP tape is like a one-size-fits-all solution if you would like to keep it simple and just have one tape for all your different packaging needs. However, when you ship very large or heavy items, or where high restoring forces put stress on the tape, or where the carton is exposed to mechanical stress like vibration on a cargo ship, PVC is your best choice as a backing material. Now, for some people, the plastic PVC as such has a bad reputation, which stems from plasticizers and heavy metals, which may be present in some products, but not in the PVC film that we use for our monta tapes. Now, PVC is a very robust material, and it can only be coated with natural rubber adhesive. So it is a great combination for demanding jobs, and this is why it is the preferred choice for removalists, freight forwarding companies, and also in the automotive industry. Now, some customers, they don't like the idea of a filmic or plastic tape on the carton, and they prefer more of a monomaterial packaging solution. And this is where paper tapes are great, as they look natural. And the only limitation really is their tear strength. So if you have a rather heavy parcel, then you need to choose something else. But there are also more eco-friendly filmic, as in plastic, backing materials. One is PLA, that's a bio-based option, which is made from cornstarch, and it's biodegradable under industrial composting conditions. And the other option is film backings that include a recycled content, such as recycled PET, which is now available in the market. And I know this is a lot to take in, and there are many, many factors to consider. But to make it easier for our customers or for anyone who's having troubles finding the right tape, Monta actually offers product training and technical support. And we also have a lab where customers send us their cartons and explain to us what the actual application is. And we test for them and find the right tape for them. So this is a service that we offer. Something we also always recommend is to do practical tests. Yeah, so once you've chosen the tape, make sure it is really fit for the application.
That sounds like a very useful service, definitely. And obviously, you've touched on the benefits, but what benefits can companies expect from having chosen the right tape for their application? How does that make the product better?
Well, there's actually several benefits that come to mind. The first one is that obviously you minimize your tape consumption, that you require only one layer rather than three, which is sustainable, and also reduces waste time, to apply the tape, but also to replace the empty roll. And it obviously also lowers the associated cost. And the second one I can think of is that with the perfect tape, and if the whole packaging concept is fit for the task, the parcel will arrive safely and intact at the destination. So you will leave that great first impression with your customers, which is good for your reputation and hopefully will lead to repeat business. And third, many tapes can also be used for branding, as they are directly printable. So this includes both eco-friendly tape options there are on the market, So you can use your tape as an advertising medium and have your logo or any marketing message printed on it, but even use a sustainable message if you want.
And obviously, sustainability is really important. And I was wondering, how do Monta's tapes perform when it comes to CO2 emissions and recyclability?
Monta, Monta has a sustainable product range, which is called Monta Greenline. And for all Greenline tapes, we had the product carbon footprint calculated according to the Greenhouse Gas Protocol. I guess most people are familiar with it. And we found that compared to conventional tapes, the CO2 emissions of the Greenline tapes are lower, which is mainly due to their bio-based or recycled content. And to go one step further, we have decided to support certified climate protection projects by contributing to them financially. Now, speaking about recyclability, packaging tapes that have been used and removed from the carton cannot be recycled as such. However, we've spoken to several carton manufacturers and recycling companies, and they've all confirmed that when being left on the carton, packaging tapes can be recycled together with it in the normal cardboard recycling stream. So they do not interfere with the recycling process, which is great.
And my final question for today was, what else can companies do to boost their sustainability credentials when using adhesive tapes?
Well, one thing they can do is they can compare the carbon footprint of the various tapes, because there are differences, especially tapes with bio-based or recycled content often have a lower CO2 value as they use far less virgin fossil-based raw materials. Then you can look for tapes with a resource-efficient product design. With Monta's new paper tape, for example, we were able to reduce the paper thickness and the amount of adhesive while maintaining, actually, I should say, improving its technical performance. The same is true for our recycled PET tape that we just launched. Because of its very thin but still very strong film backing, we were able to add 100% extra tape to each roll. So all in all, both tapes offer great performance with less material, and they still fit in your normal tape dispenser, so the outer diameter hasn't changed. And since we also use the same packaging type and size as we use for other tapes, so on top of that, we also make the best use of valuable cargo space. And I think the last thing I can think of is when looking for a tape supplier, maybe also take into consideration whether the manufacturer has sustainability included in their corporate policy.
Great. That brings us to the end of today's podcast. Thank you for a really interesting discussion, Sylvia.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
If you'd like to see more of Monta, the company will be showcasing its solutions at Fachpark in Nuremberg in Germany from September 24th to September 26th in Hall 6 on booth 216. In addition to that, the company will also be exhibiting at Packaging Europe's Sustainable Packaging Summit in Amsterdam. That will be on November 12th and 13th. And for more information and tickets, head to packagingsummit.earth/2024. We're very much looking forward to seeing you all there. Thank you.